everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some new makeup to show you, and there's kind of a mixture between stuff that is actually new out at the moment and then stuff that's just new to me that I've not tried yet. I'm going to be kind of going through my first impressions of each product, and then at the end of the video you're going to see me at the end of the day, and so you can see what the makeup looks like after so many hours. So the first thing that I'm going to use today is the Soap & Glory One Heck of a Blot Instant Perfecting Primer. This is, I believe, one of the newer launches to the Soap & Glory range, although it has been out for a while now because every time I see it I kind of want to try it. And what I'm going to do with this is just apply it to half of my face with my fingertips, because that way we can see what the foundation looks like with primer and also without a primer. It's come out as kind of like a white creamy coloured texture, and I'm just going to put it on this half of my face. Doesn't smell of anything. It's definitely not silicone based because it just feels like a cream as you put it on. It says it's got Shine Block 12-hour matte spheres and pore shrinking technology. Feels a little bit sticky. The next thing I've got to try is the Max Factor Miracle Match Foundation, which is, I know, one of their new launches of foundations. It says on the front that it's a Blur and Nourish foundation. So I'm going to apply this all over my face just as I would with a normal foundation. I did colour match it in store, but I'm not sure if it's going to be right or not. It smells kind of strange. It's definitely got a scent to it. It's not too bad. Looks like it's a light, maybe a medium coverage foundation, just after one layer. I'm just going to go in with a second coat, just a very light coat, just to see if it is buildable and if it makes any difference to the coverage. I got the colour, the shade Golden 75. And it's not done the best job of covering up my redness, so I'll have to go in with some concealer there, and especially on my chin. I don't know how that's picking up on camera. I'm next going to take the L'Oreal True Match Concealer, and I have the shade 2 Vanilla. This definitely isn't a recent launch, but I haven't used it before. It's a doe foot applicator, which I quite like, and I'm just going to use this around my nose, on my chin, my cheeks, unfortunately, and then under my eyes. This feels really creamy, like a really nice texture for a concealer. Quite similar to the Urban Decay Naked one. And then I'm just going to blend that in using the same brush. And I always use a smaller brush for under my eyes. I really like that concealer under my eyes. It's really brightening and quite creamy. Next, I'm taking the L'Oreal Brow Artist Kit, and I'm just going to quickly fill in my brows. I'm going to move on to eyeshadow. I'm going to be using today the Body Shop All-in-One Tinted Concealer and Primer. It's called Insta Blur Eye. I'm just going to use this on one eye so that I can see what difference it makes. So just put a little bit of that on my finger. It's quite a yellow colour, yellowy colour. Okay. And it's just crumbling. Surely that's not what's supposed to happen. It's just literally like rolled itself into a little ball and crumbled off my eyelid. I'm going to try and warm it up a little bit in my fingers and see if that makes any difference. I had to warm that up quite a bit there in between my fingers so that it would go on properly, so I don't know if that happens with everyone's or whether mine's just a bit weird. I'm then going to take some new eyeshadows which I've recently just swatched for a blog post, and they'll be up on the blog soon. These are all Makeup Geek eyeshadows, and they're ones that I actually got when I was in America. Makeup Geek is an American brand, and I haven't used these yet. I've swatched them like I just said for the blog. I think I'm just going to keep it kind of neutral today because I'm not really doing anything and I don't want to go for a full-on smoky eye. I'm going to start off by putting the colour Creme Brulee in the crease of my eye, which is this colour here. This is a matte colour. Okay, quite a lot of fallout. These eyeshadows are raved about in the States, and when we went over to America I ordered some online and got them delivered to the hotel. They look like they're really easy to blend and go on really nicely. I might use one of the Foiled Effects ones, and this is in the shade In the Spotlight, and these ones at the top here, the first 5 I think, they're all the foiled eyeshadows, so they can be used wet and they're quite a lot more pigmented. So I'm going to take it dry on the brush. Wowzers. That's a lot whiter than I thought it was going to be, and it's also a lot more pigmented than I expected it to be, which is obviously a really good thing. I'm then going to take my eyelash curlers, but I'm only going to curl this set of lashes so that I can see what the mascara does on its own. The mascara that I'm using today is the new one by L'Oreal, and it is their Feline Volume Million Lashes Mascara. It looks quite green. The wand is green. I hope the mascara is black. It's quite wiggly and it's kind of curved, if you can see that. That seems like quite a nice mascara. I've just applied one coat to this eye, the one that I curled, and I'm just going to go in with a second coat. It looks like it's really lengthening. They just look really long and separated. This next one is by Collection, and it is their contour kit. It looks quite chalky. I've just put my brush in and literally got that much on, and it's created quite a lot of mess in the pan. So we'll see how this applies. I really quite like that as a contour shade. I'm really impressed with that. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of highlight on the tops of my cheekbones. I don't know if you can see that highlight, it's quite subtle. It's a little bit more white than I was expecting, but it looks quite pretty. Next from Collection, I'm using their Speedy Blush in the shade 03, which is called Pinch Me. I think what I'm going to do is just apply this to the tops of my cheekbones or the apples of my cheeks and then blend it in with my finger. I feel like I had to work quite hard to blend that in. So this is one of their new cream blushes, and they've also brought it out as a highlight as well. I'm just going to this time just warm the product up a little bit on my finger and then apply it with my finger first rather than from the applicator. I just think this shade is really, really pretty for autumn. I definitely think it works better applying it that way. It's a really nice creamy texture, although it goes on better warming it up with your fingers first and applying it rather than applying it straight from the stick, because I think sometimes that can move what's underneath, like foundation wise. The last product I'm using is one of the new Maybelline matte lipsticks, and this one is in the shade Daringly Nude. So I have swatched these, but I've never used them on my lips. This one I picked up in America, and I don't think they've got one with the same name out over here yet in the UK, but I know they have got a nude shade which is very similar to this. So I'm going to just try this out. It's more for the formula than the colour more than anything. These have been marketed as creamy matte lipsticks, and that felt really, really creamy going on. It didn't drag or pull. I really, really like that. It doesn't feel dry. It didn't pull my lips as some matte lipsticks can, and it went on really, really easy and kind of all blended in quite easily on my lips. So I really like this as a first impression. So what I'm going to do now is I've got another video to film and I've got some errands to run this afternoon. I'm going to go and see my granddad for a little while, and then tonight, before I'm about to take all this off before bed, we'll see how this all looks on my face and what's lasted, what hasn't. So it's now about 8 o'clock and this is what the makeup looks like. So the lipstick, you can kind of see the remnants of it. It's just kind of left like a really nice colour to my lips. It did go a little bit crusty here about 6 o'clock, and I just kind of went like this and got rid of it and it was fine. The contour, you can kind of still see it, which I'm really impressed about. To say that it was Collection, and also the blush, it's definitely still there. I think that stayed on really well. You can still see the highlight, so I'm really impressed with that. The eyeshadow, hasn't really done so well. I noticed about tea time it had started completely fading, and it doesn't seem to have made much difference with the primer. It's a little bit better on this eye than this one, but it's not a massive difference. Really like the mascara. It hasn't crumbled or fallen down at all. It stayed on really nicely, but I expect that from L'Oreal mascaras anyway. And then the foundation I'm actually really happy with. It's not kind of made much of a difference on the side that I had the primer on and the side that I didn't. It's a blur, it's supposed to be a blur and nourish foundation, and I would agree with that after today. I think it definitely has done that. I think my skin just looks kind of healthy and glowy. I haven't powdered at all today or put any kind of setting spray on or anything like that. It's come off a little bit around my nose, you can see that there, but I've kind of been sniffling all day, and that tends to happen, especially here where I've had my glasses on. But I think it stayed on really well. It still looks like I've got a good base on. It's kind of like worn off quite well. It's not, sometimes when foundation wears off, it obviously can go quite patchy, and this hasn't. One thing I will say is that, I'm in my pyjamas by the way, but one thing I will say is that it definitely feels like I'm wearing foundation. It's definitely a more of a dewy finish, and it's not by any means matte. I know my L'Oreal Infallible one literally leaves my skin feeling like satin, and it's not sticky at all, whereas this one you can definitely feel like you're wearing it. But I really like how it's just worn off to a kind of really natural look. I'm really happy with it overall. I'm impressed with the colour match, and then everything else. The eyeshadows, you can definitely still see them. They are still on my eyelids. Those eyeshadows, I think they work out about £4 or £5 each, so they're amazing for what you get. So I'm happy with those. And then as well, all of the collection stuff that I put on my cheeks, I'm really happy with how that's still there. So I think it's gone quite well. The lipstick, although it did go a little bit crusty and it has worn off a little bit, I haven't reapplied it all day, and you can definitely still see that, like, this isn't my natural lip colour. There is definitely still some colour on there from the lipstick, which I think is amazing, and they don't feel drying at all. They just still felt really comfortable and really nice, so I'm really pleased with those as well. It seems to be a really good formula, so I can't wait to wear the other ones that I've got. So I'm going to call it a day for today. I'm going to go downstairs and have some Slimming grilled chili that I've made, and I will see you all in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.